Have you ever wondered how a massive nation, one with over 250 million people spread across literally thousands of islands, plans to feed itself for generations to come? I mean, it's one of the most fundamental questions a country can ask. Well, today we're going to go inside Indonesia's official 2020-2024 National Strategic Plan to find out. Okay, let's get into it.
It all starts right here. Because food is never just about calories or, just preventing hunger. It is the absolute foundation of a country's progress. It's about building a population that's healthy, active, and productive. So what you're seeing on this slide, that isn't just produce, it's potential.
And that potential is up against a huge challenge. By the year 2045, which is the 100th anniversary of Indonesia's independence, this is the projected population. We're talking nearly 319 million people. So, feeding everyone in a sustainable way, that's the core mission.
So, what's really at stake here? Before we jump into the nuts and bolts of the government's plan, we really have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this whole thing.
This quote, it's pulled directly from the strategic plan itself, and honestly, it frames the entire issue just perfectly. See, this isn't just some agricultural policy, it's a human development strategy. Food security is tied directly to the strength and the potential of the entire nation.
Right, so to build any kind of solution, you first have to clearly define the problem. And for a country like Indonesia, the challenges are just as complex as its vast geography.
This map from 2018, the Food Security and Vulnerability Map, illustrates that complexity perfectly. The colors really tell the story. The dark green areas, they show strong food security. But as you see the colors shift to yellow and even red, we're seeing regions that face some pretty significant challenges, especially out in the eastern parts of the country. This is not a single one-size-fits-all problem.
So what's actually driving those vulnerabilities we just saw on the map? Well, the plan points to a few key hurdles. For one, agricultural land is shrinking as cities and towns expand. Food prices can be really volatile, which makes it incredibly hard for families to budget. Then there's the staggering amount of food that's lost or wasted before it even reaches a plate. Diets are changing too, which means a higher dependency on imported food. And for a lot of people, the biggest barrier is simply not being able to afford nutritious food in the first place.
So, faced with this really complex web of challenges, what's the plan? This is where we get to the hero of our story, the comprehensive 5-year strategic plan that's designed to tackle these issues head-on.
And leading the charge is this organization, the Food Security Agency, or BKP. Think of them as the architects and the project managers for this entire national effort. They're the ones responsible for coordinating all the moving parts, everything from creating policy to actually implementing it on the ground.
And here it is, their blueprint. The strategy is built on 4 really powerful pillars. First, just make sure there's enough food available and have a plan for any shortages. Second, fix the supply chain to get that food where it needs to go at stable prices. Third, encourage people to eat a wider variety of local foods, and of course, make sure it's safe. And fourth, provide all the management and technical support to make it all happen. It's a really clear, structured approach.
Okay, this all sounds great as a high-level strategy, right? But what does it actually look like on the ground? How does a government document translate into actual food on the table?
Well, it all starts at the source. The plan focuses on boosting the productivity of local farmers growing these essential ingredients, just like the fresh chilies you see here. But just harvesting the potential, that's only the first step. The next step is all about adding value, right there in the community. So instead of just shipping out raw goods, the strategy supports creating local processing facilities, like this one. This not only cuts down on food loss, but it also creates jobs and helps build up local economies. And here is the final result, a product that's ready for the market. This is packaged sago flour, a really nutritious, traditional alternative to rice. So by taking a raw resource and turning it into a finished product, the plan directly supports that third pillar we talked about, diversifying what people eat by promoting local, sustainable options. And this slide really shows the plan's versatility. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. On the left, you've got a traditional rural food barn, a method that's been proven for ages to ensure community reserves. And on the right, a modern, urban hydroponic farm. The strategy adapts, securing the food supply from remote villages to the heart of the densest cities.
This focus on community-level action is just so important. Initiatives like urban farming and community gardens, they're being championed to shorten the food supply chain, empower neighborhoods, and build a more resilient system literally from the ground up.
So with all these initiatives in play, how do we know if any of it is actually working? I mean, a plan is only as good as its results. So let's take a look at the data. And the early signs are promising. This big, coordinated national effort is already starting to make a measurable impact, not just locally, but on the global stage. Just take a look at the data from the Global Food Security Index. It's what measures countries on food availability, affordability, and quality. In just 1 year, from 2018 to 2019, Indonesia climbed 3 spots, going from 65th to 62nd in the world. That is a tangible sign that these policies are actually moving the needle.
This quote really captures the ultimate long-term vision. See, it's not just about having enough food. It's about food sovereignty, which is a nation's right to define its own food system, and food self-sufficiency, the ability to meet its own needs. That is the sustainable future this whole plan is trying to build.
So this massive national strategy, it provides the framework. The work is happening in farms, in facilities, and in communities all across the archipelago. And it kind of leaves us with a final question to think about. How do the choices we all make every single day contribute to the future of food? Not just for our communities, but for the world.